Welcome, everybody.
Hey, hey. Good boy, Tucker.
Work smarter where you want.
This is learning at its most fun.
Hey, hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for coming to another practice management webinar. Today, we actually have Kate Guillen here, who is the founder of Simplicity Operations Management. For everyone who has seen me before or hasn't, my name is Catherine Beltran. I'm a trainer here at Redtail. But I just have to say, I am thrilled to have Kate here. She has been gracious enough to take out some of her time today to talk about how to handle in-person as well as virtual meetings. Now, I'll let Kate give more about kind of like her backstory, how her company came to be. But she's been working with not only myself, she worked with Haley when she was on the training team, she's worked with Austin. So she's had her feet with a lot of us over here on the training team, and she really does know her Redtail stuff. So truly, if there's anyone you ever really should get some input and listen to, it is Kate. She's brilliant, and I know she's going to be a great resource for all of you today. But before I really give her the show, I do want to give again those little reminders. So first things first, it's the popular question we always get. Is this going to be recorded? And the answer is, of course it is. We do have this recording as I am actually talking right now. It will be available on our help desk for a replay. I would honestly expect it probably closer towards the end of next week, but again, you will find it on our help desk. So if there's anyone who was unable to hop on and you're sitting there going, man, I wish my coworker was able to join, good news, you can always, get that reference and send that over to them. Second thing, some of you have already been using the chat. I always love that, but we also have the Q&A of Zoom available as well. Now, I feel like that's obvious, but if you have questions, definitely pop them into that section. Try to avoid putting those questions into the chat. Sometimes they'll get a little missed, and I won't intentionally ignore you, but it could happen. So make sure you put those questions in the Q&A and we'll answer those as soon as possible. Last but not least, I think this is always just a comfort level for everyone. Just to give a heads up, everyone upon entry is automatically muted, as well as no one else can share their videos. So whether you like it or not, you're only going to see Kate and myself today. So we're the only videos that can be shown. Again, that's just for privacy, so don't worry about any of that. All right, well, I think I have talked enough really on just, again, those reminders. With all of that said, Kate, I'm going to hand it over to you and let's go through this process.
Thank you, Catherine, for the lovely introduction. I really appreciate it. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. As Catherine said, my name is Kate Guillen, and I am the founder of Simplicity Operations Management. But even more importantly, I am a longtime Redtail user. I'll give you a quick little background before we get going. But I was first introduced to Redtail when I was the operations manager for an RIA here in Southern California. It was the CRM we were using, and we were really only using it as a glorified Rolodex, if you will. Logging clients' contact information, the occasional note, but by no means using the system to its full potential at all. But lucky for me, this is, all pre-COVID, and I was lucky enough to attend one of Redtail's in-person Redtail universities. And if, any of you have had the privilege of attending one of the Redtail universities, how fabulous the Redtail team is at presenting and how mind-blowing it is to learn for the first time all that the system is capable of managing. And so, after attending the event, I was super energized and really committed myself to mastering the system, all of the integrations, and really utilizing Redtail as a tool to help streamline our operational processes in an effort to become more efficient. So to do this, I built workflows and a system to manage our team's tasks, pipeline, our calendar, and additional operational, processes to become that well-oiled machine that we had always strived to be. And so fast forward to today, I started Simplicity Operations Management as a way to offer my expertise to advisors and their teams to optimize their Redtail and really streamline, their operational processes in an effort to more efficiently manage your desired client experience. So today we'll kind of talk about that, and I'll share with you some tips and tricks for delivering your desired client experience, regardless if it's in, an in-person or a virtual environment, which we know is, a hot topic today. So, and again, if anybody has any questions, please fire them off to Catherine. She's gonna, we can, this is very much intended to be a conversation, and we can work through them if anybody has any questions, but I'm gonna kind of give you a lot of information here. And start with, really standardizing the process while still providing a very personalized client experience. I like to use a combination of keywords, recurring activities, automations, and workflows within the CRM. For today's example, I'm going to focus on, your regular client review meeting process, but do know that you can definitely, adapt these processes and implement something similar for all of the different types of meetings that you host. So to get started, we need to set up a proactive client review process or proactive client review schedule within Redtail that tells us, who are we meeting with, and prompts us to proactively reach out to them accordingly. I have found keywords to be a very effective way of managing this process. And what I mean is I create 12 keywords, one for each month of the year, and then I assign the keywords to my clients based on their segment within my book of business. I have constructed my service model so that their segment dictates, how many times a year I meet with them. For example, my top tier clients, I might reach out to them 4 times a year, so they're going to be in 4 keywords. I reach out to my, second tier clients twice a year, they'll be in 2 keywords, so on and so forth. And the feedback that I've gotten here is it has made it very easy to identify who I'm meeting with when, who has an upcoming review. It makes it very easy to shift clients, from one keyword to another if you happen to meet with them kind of off cycle. You're very easily able to, and I'll model this for you in just a second, move clients around in keywords if you need to increase or decrease the amount of times you meet with them. And then lastly, and I love this one because it really allows you to create a structured calendar. If there's months of the year that you wish not to meet with clients, you don't have a keyword for that month of the year. So now that we've kind of built the foundation here with knowing when we're meeting with clients and how often, I use a recurring activity to prompt me to reach out to next month's keyword to schedule the review meeting. It kind of acts as my reminder to generate that list for anybody who is due for an upcoming review. So that's kind of like our proactive foundation here, but there's additional things that we can do in Redtail to really simplify and create an efficient client scheduling process. And so I'm going to jump over to the database here for a second.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, actually, Donna did bring up a question here. What are some examples of your keywords? So again, really what is getting stressed here is that you would have 12 keywords, because again, there's 12 months. Thankfully, nice and easy there. We don't have too much complication, but you would really have it where it would be like client meeting - January, client meeting - February, client meetings - March, so on and so forth. So you really just have to set up those 12, but then you use a combination based on how many times you meet with that client. Some you might meet with only once a year. So you just pick, we're meeting with them in February and February only. Or maybe it's twice a year. Okay, we got to meet with them February. And we also have to meet with them over in June, or again, whatever month we have. So that's really what that's saying there.
Exactly.
But make it obvious. Obviously, don't make it too complicated, but that's really what those would look like.
Yeah, you got it. And then so in addition, now that we have people organized in those keywords, there's additional things we can do in the database in bulk to that group of contacts organized by that keyword, one of which is sending a broadcast email to that keyword, proactively scheduling the next review meeting. And so here's kind of an example template, boilerplate information. You guys are welcome to snag this of, initiating that contact to schedule the review meeting. And Catherine, I think you'd said that they can take a screenshot of this. Oh, sorry, my friend, you're on mute.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry. I was like, wait, let me get to it. My mouse had like disappeared on me for a hot second. So I just want to pop in. I know I'm interrupting again, but if anyone is listening here, and if anyone can relate to how I feel sometimes where we have these ideas and we don't know where to begin, take a screenshot of what you're seeing right now, because this is actually a really great example of what you can use within the CRM itself of that broadcast email saying, hey, based upon your keyword, it's October, you're supposed to come in this month. Let's get you on our books. Or if you're maybe more proactive, it's for November, you want to start reaching out now. That's again where you can really just get that screenshot. You can tweak it yourself, but this is that starting point. Sometimes that's really where we need. We're not sure where to go and we don't know, we're afraid to jump in. This is kind of that whole, all right, we're pushing you in, whether you want to or not. So take a screenshot. That way you have, again, that example of this broadcast email.
Yeah, and this broadcast email is just a little quick, easy thing to implement to save you from having to send this same email 10 times over to each individual person in the keyword.
Right.
Yeah,
ahead, sorry. I'm so sorry to cut you off there. We did quickly get a question here with how do you do a screenshot? My apologies. Depending on what computer you're on, it might be the print screen button on your keyboard. So if you look almost towards like your numerals, struggling with English there for a second, there should be a print screen button on there. Otherwise, if you are on a Mac, do a Command 5. That should actually give you that screenshot. So either or, that should work. Also keep in mind, this is going to be recorded too. So if you do miss this and then you go back to your desk later and go, man, I regret it, I should have had it. Definitely, you can always, again, zoom that out. Now, keep in mind, you can always zoom in on this page. If you take a screenshot, you can always zoom in on that. It should not mess with the quality, but again, it's there if you'd like to.
Perfect. And I also, at the last slide, I included my contact info. So if you want me to email this to you, I'd be happy to do that too. Just reach out to me separately. All right, so I think we've covered the broadcast email here. In an effort to work smarter and not harder, doing things in bulk is a great way to manage your time efficiently. I'm going to go back over to my slideshow here. Another thing we can do in bulk to that group of contacts in that review meeting keyword is assign a follow-up activity to ensure that the review meeting actually gets booked. And again, like I said here, you can do this using the bulk action feature within Redtail. And then I lost my place here, sorry. Okay, so this is the fun stuff that I really like. Automations and workflows, really my bread and butter and my favorite part of the database. So once the review meeting is booked, we are going to use that as a triggering event in Redtail linked to an automation that automatically launches the review meeting workflow. Because the workflow really becomes the tool that we use to standardize the review meeting process and truly execute your desired client experience over and over and over again. But before building the workflow, there's a couple things we got to do before we can just jump in there. One of which is brainstorming, or what Redtail calls whiteboarding. What the process is going to look like. What does the prep look like? What's happening day of? What does your follow-up look like? But I want to go a little bit deeper. I want my process to be, the Ritz-Carlton experience. I want my clients to feel special and valued, and I want them to genuinely look forward to meeting with my team and I. So, as you start to construct your process, start thinking about relationships in your life that make you feel, the way you want your clients to feel. People in your world that make you feel heard and valued and really give you the desire to return. So things to start thinking about is, what made you feel this way? And let's try to recreate it. This is kind of fun, and I'll share with you some things that I've learned from some teams over the last couple of months. Is really crafting, your environment. A team, has their diffuser with the essential oils going, with seasonal oils, or I had a team that bakes chocolate chip cookies to give that warm, inviting environment. I think this kind of goes without saying, but make sure the office is well organized and tidy, and you don't have stacks of paper. How were you welcomed? What was the person at the front desk like? Did they have a welcome sign with your name, printed on the front desk? Were there coffees or waters available for you on the coffee table? Or better yet, did they know what your favorite beverage was and have it readily available? I like this one too. Did the person that greeted you acknowledge that it was your birthday month, or that you were celebrating your 20th wedding anniversary? Just going above and beyond to really give that Ritz-Carlton white glove experience and make someone feel truly special. And then, did you know what to expect? Did you get an agenda ahead of time? Did you feel well prepared? And what was the follow-up like? Was there a recap email? Was, what are you doing to keep your clients engaged? So by going through this exercise, you've essentially created a workflow. You know what the steps are. You know what the tasks are within the step. You know who's going to be doing them and when they need to be done. So now that we've kind of, whiteboarded and built out what we'd like our workflow to look like, we need to formally document this in the form of a workflow to really standardize that process and eliminate having to reinvent the wheel every single time we have a review meeting. You guys, if anyone's ever talked to me before, kind of my mode of operation is, if it is repeatable, it is workflowable. And this is a great example of a repeatable process that I love to create a workflow for. So I'm going to jump back to the database here, and I'm just going to go a quick overview of my review meeting workflow for my client here, Ron Swanson. I have a review meeting with him on the 29th, and I'm going to take you through my prep process, my follow-up process, day of process, so on and so forth. So a week, you can see here, a week prior to the 29th, this is my associate advisor is going to review the financial plan in preparation for the meeting. I'm not going to go, into too much detail here, but I'll just kind of show you a little overview. You can see here's the steps and the tasks within the steps. If you hover, you can see kind of the description or the details that pertain to this task, task. And as we work through them, we complete them here. So if there's two people that are responsible for a certain step, by completing the task, it will move on to the next person. So a reminder for the associate advisor to review the account details. All right, he's working through this. A reminder to put together a review meeting agenda. I'm a big agenda girl. I like having an agenda personally to keep me on task and keep the conversation on track. And then I have found that my clients like having an agenda to take notes on, something to follow along with. So big agenda girl. And here is where I'm going to backtrack for just a second. I've completed the week before preparation, and now this is when we create a step in the workflow with a couple of outcomes to allow you to kind of accomplish two things in one by offering a virtual or in-person review. And this workflow is going to take us down both of those experiences and then come back together for the follow-up, because regardless if it's in person or virtual, the follow-up is going to be the same. So I'm going to complete this here, and it's going to ask me, what are we doing here? A couple of outcomes, and in this case, we are going to move forward and confirm whether this meeting is going to be in person or virtual. Thank you. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to complete this step. And for the sake of this example, I'm going to take you through the virtual review meeting workflow. So I'm going to select that as an option here.
And then I'm
so now
just
this
going
is
to
saying
pop
3
in.
days. Yeah,
Oh, sorry, Kate.
go
I
ahead.
just wanted to pop in really
No.
fast. So, for anyone who is maybe unfamiliar with workflows or they're sitting there going, we've tried doing this, it's not working out the way. Outcomes are going to be your best friend for a scenario like this. Outcomes really are that fork in the road. Hey, which direction should I be going to? So, I'm a big
Exactly.
fan of what Kate just showed there, where we have almost like a landing platform and you decide which way I need to take off from there. So, again, if
Mhm.
you've tried building this and you're hitting this wall, outcomes are what's going to give you that ability to pick where you're going to. Sorry, I did not mean to
Absolutely.
interrupt you
I
there,
could
but
not agree more. No, that's great. I could not agree more. I'm sorry I kind of breezed over that. But yes, that's how we create the fork in the road and allow this workflow to go a couple of different directions. And in this case, we're going to go down the review meeting route and then come back together for the follow-up. So you can see here kind of the timing. 3 days ahead of my review date, my client service person is going to send the agenda to Ron in preparation for the meeting. And I love this. Redtail allows you to include, in the description here, a hyperlink to where the review meeting agenda lives in my cloud-based server. So I don't have to, file through, my desktop or wherever you're storing documents. I can one click access that very easily, wordsmith it, plug in the new information. Oh, and I can copy and paste this email into my, this email template into my email, wordsmith that, and this is as efficient as I can get, and again, I'm in the business of working smarter and not harder, and where we can template things, I would suggest templating everything. So Daisy here has sent off the email template and the agenda to the client. And then this is where I really, think that you can, show, your, how you are different from the next guy here by handling these meetings and really taking that, additional level of, I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
takes you to that next step.
Personal touch. Yeah, exactly. And make sure that your team knows if the client's birthday is coming up, if they have a milestone, they just had a new baby or a grandchild or a big marital anniversary. Make sure that you know who you're meeting with and what their interests are, and acknowledge them when they come in. And then I love this one. This group, so in an in-person environment, they always have danishes and coffee available, and they take really diligent notes about clients' preferences. And they said, well, how are we going to parlay that into a virtual environment? And they actually DoorDash coffee and danishes to their clients when they're meeting with them on Zoom. I thought that was so cool. Another group sends flowers. It was a big marital anniversary, and although they were not coming into the office, they sent them a bouquet of flowers. I just thought that was just such a nice added touch, and really, that's their brand. That's what makes them different. And I just thought that was really special.
Yeah, I can't stress enough. That's the one thing we can teach you how to use a CRM. Kate can teach you how to use a CRM. Kate can teach you how to use these methods. I can give you ideas about them. The one thing I can't do, and that's the one thing she can't do either, is force you guys to give that reason for those clients to stick around. So I would include something like this where you not only review those big milestones, those big ideas, but don't even limit yourself to just the client. I had a story where this kind of coworker of mine, the reason he stuck around with his financial advisor for so long wasn't because of the details he remembered about himself. It was the details he remembered about his children, because his children are his world to him. So he was like, my advisor would literally ask about like, hey, did you, what are you going to do for, insert kid's birthday here? And he goes, and he remembered that it wasn't those things that, oh, it's your birthday, the kids. He goes, because that is
I
everything
love
to
that.
me. So think about those families, think about, again, that extension, not just the client, and make sure you act on those.
I love that. This is your opportunity to think about what it is that makes you different, and then document it so that it your desired experience and the services you provide to your client are well organized and documented. And it's a repeatable thing that you can do over and over and over again. And let's, Let's document this in the form of a workflow so that your team knows what is expected of them, and this is executed time and time again without having to reinvent the wheel. So all right, I've confirmed any special handlings. I told, my team that there's a big marital anniversary and we're going to have flowers available and some coffee and some danishes. I'm all set here. And now this is, you can see timing wise, day of the review meeting. I love this. Catherine did this for me the other day. We were having a Zoom chat morning of, she resent me the Zoom link, the Zoom link. So it's top of my inbox. I didn't have to go searching for it. I didn't have to go digging around. It was right there. I loved that. And so I took that from Catherine here and I added this to my review meeting. Day of, resend them the Zoom link. Again, here is your email template. You can just copy and paste it into your email, get that off. And then prepare for your Zoom call. Just because it's a virtual environment, this is not your time to slack off. Still put yourself together, still get dressed. Yes, you can wear sweatpants on the bottom and your UGG boots, but this is, get yourself together. You still want to have that same experience for your client that you would if you were in person. And then just a reminder to make sure, your electronics are working, your computer's going, you've got your camera working. Again, that you don't have stacks of paper with other people's social security numbers sitting on your desk. Cabinets are closed. I just put together a list here. This is a big one, making sure your cell phone is silent. That includes the vibrating so that, people aren't listening to that. It's a little bit distracting. And making sure, your desktop and your computer is well organized. And then also, morning of, prior to the meeting, open up the sites and the things that you are going to be reviewing in the, over the duration of the meeting. Financial planning software, your custodial site, your portfolio management. Make sure that you have a copy of the agenda to keep yourself on track. And then, I'm getting into the weeds here, but I like having the important information tab up as well as the personal profile form. If you're not familiar with the personal profile form, check it out. It is a great way to keep clients' contact information current. It's a great way to see what information you might be missing at the contact level. I could probably talk for 30 minutes about the personal profile form, so do yourself a favor and check it out. I'm going to complete here. So this is day of, virtual meeting prep. I have done what I need to do morning of, and now this is going to take me into my follow-up process. And I'm gonna backtrack here for just a second. If I were to have gone down the in-person route, it would look very similar. You would still put together a meeting, but there's a step in there to prep the conference room and what goes into preparing the conference room. So that regardless of who's doing it on your team, there is a step-by-step to, wipe down the table, make sure that there's agenda, items out for everybody. There's pads of paper and pens and whatnot. So regardless if it's in person or virtual, you'll go through your prep process, you'll go through your morning of process, and then we're coming back together now because the follow-up process is the same. And for my follow-up process, I send a follow-up email. Again, you can hover here to see the details of the email, or you can open it up. This is just a recap and some follow-up action items. Again, copy and paste this into your email, wordsmith it, send it off to the client. I love having things in the workflow and having templates available so that you're not having to recreate the wheel, reinvent the wheel every single time you go to follow up after a review meeting. A reminder to add your meeting notes to Redtail. I'm a big mobile assistant girl. I like the voice dictation capability. So this is just your reminder, again, setting the standard for your team about what the follow-up looks like. You need to put in your notes. Sometimes that kind of slips through the cracks, and by having it here documented in the workflow, you no longer have the ability for something to slip through the crack. And I also put it here, I'm getting into the weeds again, you have the ability to add a hyperlink to your post-review meeting note template. Again, I'm a big templates girl. For these repeatable processes, rather than having to type out your review meeting notes time and time again, let's template that. So all you have to do is plug in the current information. And Redtail makes it really easy by giving you the ability to create a hyperlink to where this note template lives in your database. All right, I've put together my post-meeting notes. I'm going to update the important information tab if there's anything new I need to add there. I'm going to update the Redtail contact card. Again, I use the personal profile form. If there's missing information or I get their new email address, I want to make sure that makes it into Redtail. This is my reminder to do that. And any follow-up tasks, again, templates. Use the activity templates for recurring tasks, things that come up after a review meeting. Oftentimes there's action items as a result of having met with your client, things like opening new accounts, distributions, contributions. You can see a list here. And I like to have activity templates to standardize the management of your tasks and tasking your team members on your team. So start thinking about, commonly executed tasks and create activity templates to standardize this process as well. And then lastly, this is your reminder to review your client's review meeting keywords. Kind of taking it back to the beginning of this conversation, by organizing your clients in the monthly keywords, it makes it very easy for you to manipulate their review meeting schedule. So in the case that I meet with Ron kind of off cycle, if you will, this is your reminder to take a look at his keywords and move him around accordingly if need be. So I'm going to complete that step here, maybe. And I'm going to take you back here to Ron's contact and show you what I'm talking about. So down here at the bottom are where you can see the list of keywords that Ron is in. And if for some reason, so I've got Ron set up on a February, July schedule. I meet with him twice a year, the beginning of the year and the middle of the year. And, Ron comes in kind of off cycle. And so I need to adjust him so that I don't meet with him so frequently. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add him I'm going to start meeting with him. Why is this not working?
Give it a nice little refresh. And while you're actually doing this here, that actually might be a perfect time to help answer. I apologize if I say this wrong. Siri, she has the question saying, why do you use keywords versus the client review reminder? To which I did get a nice little chuckle when I first saw that. And that's only because Kate and I had this whole conversation, because normally that is something that we'll teach. We'll use the client review reminder, but the reasoning really behind this one, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, Kate, is that this is just kind of like an alternative, but it's searchable, just like a client review date is itself. But this one's really going to help give that just the broad, more of the reminder. Hey, they fall under this month and they fall under this month. Where I will even admit, so again, you can kind of even quote me on this one, this is easier to quickly switch them out when those changes do occur. So for example, like Ron is not following the normal monthly procedure. He's going from like a February to an October cycle. That's completely different, right? All she had to do here is switch off. You literally unclick the older keywords and you click the new ones all in one sitting here. You save it and it's automatically there. So it's really fast to change out when, again, those clients get off cycle. With the client review reminder, you would actually go in there, change the first review date, which confuses a lot of people because they take that very literal. You have to change that date for that new cycle to begin. So that panics some people. I know it. Trust me, I get that call all the time. But again, this is kind of that alternative, that fast way. Either or is perfectly fine. They're both going to help track. But correct me if I'm wrong, that's kind of how you explained it to me, Kate.
And then the other thing that I really like about this, because I ran into this where I was getting, steamrolled by my calendar. I had too many review meetings in a day, in a week, in a month. And so by organizing them as keywords, like you said, it is reportable. So I created a custom export to show all of my clients the 12 months of review dates, who was in which month, and I was able to organize it to make December a little lighter because I wanted to spend the holidays with my family, or make April a little lighter to help answer, be available for tax related questions. It was a very easy way for me to see an overview, like as a bar graph, to see who was in what review, month, and be able to adjust my calendar appropriately. That was really the big selling item to me. Both accomplish the same thing. You can set this process up the same way
Perfect.
got kind of into the weeds on that one. I hope I helped answer that question.
Yeah, no, that's definitely useful. So again, just maybe a quick recap as to what you really just did there. You're back on Ron's main page by the keywords, and then I'll kind of let you go from there.
And I went here, and I don't know why this page doesn't let me do this. Let me refresh the page again. It's always something. Okay. I'm down here under keywords, and I just clicked add. And currently, Ron, I have set up on January and June, but he came in off cycle. I'm going to take him out of that frequency. I'm going to scroll down here to my client review meeting options, and he's going to start coming in February and July. So I think 6 clicks by the time we're done. And now he's set for this going forward. It just really, it's just a very efficient way of being able to see who has an upcoming review meeting, be able to move people around very easily and shift them. Like, in Ron's case, he comes in kind of off cycle. So I know we just gave you a ton of information, but I hope you see the value of documenting this process in Redtail in the form of a workflow to really help eliminate reinventing the wheel every single time you go to do something that is repeatable. Really reducing the opportunity for, really reducing the opportunity for something to slip through the cracks, to forget something, and really creates a predictable, standardized process for both your client and your team, and allows you to execute, your desired experience time and time again, really showcasing, your unique brand and what it is that makes you different. So I'm going to turn it back over to Catherine here to help answer any questions that have come up. I know we kind of just gave you a ton of information. So if you have questions, now's your time. I'm happy to help answer anything.
Yeah, definitely. We always get this when we're with our RTUs. And actually, I'm going to take a step back. Any presentation, it's always a fire hose of information.
Yeah.
But what has been described, it truly is, once you really understand, once you kind of take a step back, because I know when we're in the weeds, it's rapid fire everywhere. But once you take a step back, it really does make it 1, 2, 3 done. 1, 2, 3 done. It's that repetitive, easy tribal knowledge, which is my favorite part about it. You're keeping everyone in the office on the same page. There's less of that whole, where are we at? What do we do? What, you have less of that going on, especially if you are still working virtually. We are, or if you're giving that option. Again, sometimes that kind of handicaps us when it comes to the communications, and we want that to be as open as possible. So really, at this point in time, I want to thank both Kate and everyone listening in today. I know time's the one thing we never have enough of, and I say that frequently, so thank you for that.
Thanks so much for joining us today for this particular session. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call at 800-206-5030, option 3 for support, or just shoot us an email over to support@redtailtechnology.com. Thanks a lot and have a great day.